Welcome to our React.js course. This is a complete video series where you will learn React step by step, starting from the basics and gradually moving toward advanced concepts. This first video is an introduction where we will understand what React is, why it's so popular, and what you can expect to learn in the upcoming lessons. Throughout this series, we will cover everything you need to become confident with React, from core concepts like components, states, props, to more advanced topics used in real-world applications. Whether you are a beginner or already having some JavaScript experience, this course is designed to guide you clearly and practically. So make sure to follow the series and let's start this React.js journey together. So let's start with a simple question. What is React.js? React.js is a JavaScript library that is used to build user interfaces. In simple words, it helps us create what users see and interact with on a website or a web app. One of the most important things about React is that it works based on data changes. Whenever the data changes, React automatically updates only the required parts of the screen. Because of this, our application becomes fast and efficient. React is mostly used to build single-page applications, also called spas. In these applications, the page does not reload again and again. Instead, React updates the content smoothly, which gives us a better user experience. React was originally created by Facebook, which is now called Meta, and it is still maintained by them. That's why it is very stable and widely trusted in the industry. Another key concept in React is that it is component-based. This means we break our user interface into small reusable pieces called components. Each component has its own job, which make our code easier to understand, manage, and reuse. Okay, now let's talk about the core philosophy of React, the main ideas behind how React works. So React uses a declarative programming paradigm. This means that instead of telling the browser how to update the UI step by step, we simply describe what the UI should look like for a given state, and then React decides and takes care of updating the screen for us. This makes our code more readable and easier to understand. Another important idea in React is component-based architecture. In React, we build our application by breaking the UI into small, independent components. Each component handles its own logic and UI, which help us write cleaner code and reuse component in different part of our application. React also uses something called a virtual DOM. So instead of directly changing the real DOM every time something updates, React first updates a virtual copy of the DOM, then it compares the changes and updates only what is necessary in the real DOM. This makes React applications very fast and efficient. React follows a unidirectional data flow, which means data flows in one direction only, from parent components to child components. This makes the flow of data predictable and easier to debug, especially in large applications. Finally, React encourages a separation of concerns. Each component focuses on a specific responsibility, such as displaying data or handling logic. These separations make the code easier to maintain, test, and scale as the application grows. Now let's take a quick look at the brief history of React. So React was created by Facebook in the year 2013. At that time, Facebook was facing some problems with managing complex user interfaces, especially when the data was changing very frequently. So to solve these problems, Facebook developed React for their own internal use. The goal was to make the user interface faster, easier to manage, and more predictable. Over the time, React proved to be very popular and efficient. Because of this, Facebook decided to make it open source so developers around the world could use it. Today, React has become one of the most widely used front-end tools. It is used by many big companies as well as individual developers to build modern, fast, and interactive web applications. Now let's talk about some of the main advantages of React. One of the biggest advantages of React is its component-based architecture. By breaking the user interface into small components, we can manage complex applications more easily and keep our code well organized. React also allows us to write reusable code. Once we create a component, we can use it again in different parts of the application. This saves time, reduces repetition, and makes development faster. Another important advantage is the virtual DOM. Because React updates only the necessary parts of the user interface, applications become faster and perform better, even when the data changes frequently. React has a very strong and interactive community. This means there are plenty of tutorials, libraries, and tools and solutions available online, which makes learning and problem solving much easier. React also has a rich ecosystem. There are many popular libraries and frameworks built around React that help with routing, state management, styling, and more. Finally, React is backed by Facebook, now known as Meta. Because of this, React is well maintained, reliable, and continuously improved, which gives developers confidence to use it in long term projects. Now, let's also talk about some drawbacks or limitations of React. First, React has a learning curve, especially for beginners. Even though React itself is not very difficult, learning related concepts like components, hooks, state managements, and the overall React ecosystem can feel overwhelming at the beginning. Another limitation is the boilerplate setup. In many cases, setting up a React project requires extra configuration and additional tools. This can feel confusing for new developers who just want to start coding quickly. React is also very flexible, which can be both a good or a bad thing because React does not force a strict structure. Different developers may organize projects in different ways. In large teams, this can sometimes lead to inconsistency or confusion. Finally, React have some SEO challenges, especially for traditional single-page applications. Since content is rendered on client side, search engines may have difficulty indexing the pages properly. However, this issue can be solved using techniques like server-side rendering or frameworks built on top of React, like Next.js. Okay, so who uses React? React is used by many of the world's biggest and most popular companies. Platforms like Facebook and Instagram uses React to handle complex user interfaces with fast updates and smooth user experience. These platforms deal with huge amount of data and user interactions, and React helps them manage this efficiently. Other well-known companies such as Netflix, Airbnb, Uber, and Shopify also rely on React. This shows that React is trusted at a large scale and is suitable for building real-world production-level applications. So now let's talk about who React is actually for. React is a great choice for front-end developers who want to build modern interactive user interfaces. It gives them the tool to create fast and dynamic applications that feel smooth to users. React is also very suitable for JavaScript developers. If you already know JavaScript, learning React becomes much easier because React is built on top of JavaScript and follows the same core concepts. Freelancer and agencies also benefit a lot from React because React allows code reuse and faster development. It helps them build projects efficiently and deliver high quality applications to clients. React is also useful for startup founders. It helps them quickly build scalable products, experiment with ideas, and grow their applications without changing the entire tech stack. Now, let's look at what kinds of things you can build using React. With React, you can build full-featured web applications that are fast, interactive, and easy to scale. It is commonly used to create dashboards where data updates frequently, such as admin panels and analytic tools. React is also a popular choice for building e-commerce stores. It helps create smooth shopping experience with dynamic product listing, cart, and checkout flows. You can also use React to build personal portfolios and landing pages. These websites are usually clean, responsive, and interactive, which makes React a good fit for showcasing work or promoting products and services. React is especially well known for building single-page applications or spas where the page does not reload and the content updates smoothly. In addition to web pages, You can also build mobile applications using React through React Native. This allows you to use similar concept to create apps for both Android and iOS platforms. Before starting with React, there are a few basic things you should already know. First, you should have a basic understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML helps you structure the content, CSS is used for styling, and JavaScript allows you to add logic and interactivity to your web page. Along with the basics of JavaScript, it is also important to be familiar with ES6 concepts. This includes things like arrow functions, destructuring, and asynchronous programming. These features are used very often in React, so understanding them will make learning React much easier and less confusing. If you already know these basics, you are well prepared to start your React journey with confidence.